Hello and welcome to our first full play session of Vergence, which is a Forged in the Dark game that very much draws from Amber, Chronicles of Amber, from say the other games that adapted it, like Lords of Gossamer and Shadow, but other things like the Eternal Champion and Kill 6 Billion Demons. There's a lot of that going on here. It's a Forged in the Dark game that strips down those mechanics, which I think makes it a really interesting game for those people who like Forged in the Dark and are exploring that. If you do like Forged in the Dark, right now, Plus One Forward has been doing a summer series looking at different Forged in the Dark games, exploring how those work. And we'll be having, as of the time of this recording, I believe next week we'll have an episode which will wrap up their thoughts on those games. So if you're a person who digs Forged in the Dark, Blades in the Dark, worth checking that out in our podcast feed. You can find that and all of our other podcasts if you go to gauntlet-rpg.com. That is our website. This is part of the Gauntlet gaming calendar, which is all in a mass with that. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. We're going to be doing introductions for our characters just to remind us of where we're at, who we are, and what we're doing. So I'm going to start this time with Smiles Like Daggers.
Oh, I wasn't expecting to be first.
Yes, I'm doing that shift over one. I'm trying to remember. So,
all right. Well, Smiles Like Daggers is a beast rider of the serpent, and he is the child of the spy master of the serpents and a rebel queen of the Maelstrom. And as a beast rider, he has a kind of companion animal, which is a large, well, not hugely large, but maybe pony size, a little bigger, flying serpent. Looks I guess a little like a small dragon, maybe that'd be the way you could describe it. And I'm calling him Timberlane, or Timber. But I have spent most of my life being seen as, a traveler, a wanderer, upbeat, happy, kind of a party boy, get along with everyone. But in fact, I am a spy for my father. I like to find out and get dirt. Sometimes I report it back. Sometimes I use it for my own purposes. But underneath the jovial shell is a calculating sort of person. And that's him. That's me. You are muted, my love.
Damn it. Your father is Curling Tourmaline, who has been implicated in an attack, I believe, last time we spoke of.
That's true.
One of the things is that I forgot to ask about last time that I will ask now is, they say in the book that joining to one of these sources, one of these forms of power, in your case, drinking the heart blood of the serpent, that's the source for your Vergence, your place, does change you a little bit. There's some change that they call a mark. And it could be a stripe in the hair. It could be one eye a different color. It could be some kind of tattoo. What do you think is the mark that process of going through that left on you?
I have nictating eyes that close sideways, and then my regular eyes lids close up and down.
Oh, that's super creepy. Got to love that. All right. That will bring us to -7 jovial.
Yeah, that's me. Harry, he, him, -7 jovial, he, him as well. He's a shapeshifter from the serpent. His father is 12 Brown, who's the chieftain of the leftward reach. Uh, Negative is probably the wayward son. 12 Brown is a very rigid, very traditional fellow, and -7's lifestyle just does not match with his plans going forward. Kind of what I have in my mind's eye is that at the ceremony after the being rebuilt and such, that -7 he couldn't keep his form into one shape, and it was shown as like maybe a lack of willpower, and that his father like just turned around and left, and you know, things were never the same after that. So he's taken to be being a pleasure seeker instead. So that's where he spends his time, is just trying to bring joy to everybody. And the current one is we're looking for iridescence joy because he's gone. We don't know where he is.
Yes.
And everybody likes him.
And your mark is?
Instead of skin, I've got a coat of very light fur.
Excellent. That brings us to our lost Sans Echo.
Yes, so Sans Echo is from beyond. She's part of the Void, I think is what it's called. She's an oracle. But she's actually part of an order. Essentially, think of it as she's trained to become an oracle in some ways by doing a lot of mathematics that she didn't understand until she understood how the universe worked, or at least a version of the universe. Think of it as like if set theory were really useful. So just kind of that sort of thing. Her name is Sans Echo. Sans is actually a title, and also part of that thing is she's seventh incarnation sign. So essentially, she's probably died a few times, and this is her seventh self. And so it only makes sense that she would be attracted to -7 jovial and his good friend iridescence joy. And in fact, they are people that I have met before and that I actually enjoy, which is kind of striking because she's a particularly intense person. But these are the two people that she isn't intense when she's with. So they are people that she does seek out to spend time with. And let's see here. Oh, she got into trouble with some quarrelsome godling named Norlum. But fortunately, Bash came by and she was able to stow away on the ship. And so again, another ally. And I'm not sure, am I supposed to have a mark too, or am I?
You do not.
I do not.
As a lost, you do not have a mark like the others.
Okay. All right. So I'm just incredibly ordinary, you guys.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you don't have a weird mark as well.
All right.
All right. You've got 3 dots in persuade. Boy, you've got your persuade all the way up to max, don't you?
They just kept throwing persuade dots at me. What could I do?
Fair enough. And that will bring us to, last but not least, Bash the Aeronaut.
Hi, I'm Patrick, he, him, and I'm playing Bash Rassius, also he, him, who is, yes, an aeronaut, the captain of the Emerald Repose, which, if you look on Bash's tab down underneath his picture to the right, I have a picture of the Emerald Repose now. And it's sort of like Bash's favorite ideal form of it, but it is a shape-shifting ship that can blend in with the local paradigm and whatever umbral realm he finds himself in. He also has a loyal and eccentric crew, which I haven't really talked much about except my umbral navigator Shiver. The smiles help me find. His mark is that he's a tall person, but his limbs are overly long and thin, and his fingers have an extra joint in them. So it's from a distance, he almost looks normal. The closer you get, and the more you can see his hands, the weirder it gets. Let's see. His mother. I wanted to talk about his mother and his sister real quick.
Sure.
His mother, Electo, the Dominus of Matresk, important military figure in the Maelstrom, and I talked about her being very much about like the duty that she and the family owed to the Maelstrom, especially in this time of crisis when the sovereign has been assassinated.
Mhm.
And then we have Morgaine, my sister, the Dominus of the Storm Knights, who's sort of like the good family child, the first daughter, the one that's done all of the things that she's supposed to do as an heir of the house. And I had also had a very contentious relationship with her, and that just felt, I didn't like that. It felt repetitive, it felt not great. So I think Bash and Morgaine actually have a very good relationship between themselves. But there are those tensions, those sibling rivalries where she sort of looks down on him for being the black sheep, but is also sort of jealous of how he gets to be free and do whatever he wants.
Okay.
And he's annoyed by her always following mom, but he's sort of jealous of how much mom actually like respects and seems to like her. But I didn't want both of those relationships to just be like all bad all the time.
Sure. I think that sounds good. So last time, our setup, some elements that you know, that there were a series of attacks, strikes at all three of the Vergences of various different forms. Attacks on resources, attacks on people at a variety of levels. We talked about the fact that one of the cities of the Maelstrom was lost. One of those, the sort of the tangential ones at the outside is gone. We talked about several worlds that people had invested in being destroyed. We talked about this attack, this assassination of the sovereign of all skies of Telesh, and that apparently he was, so people believe right now, assassinated by Curling Tourmaline, utilizing his diplomatic powers. But attacks have happened all over the place. There have been some signs in some places of assassins, of figures that vanished into kind of a weave, a thread. Did they die? Did they move somewhere else? It's unclear. There was an incident that forced the serpent to change its path, which shook the serpent from head to toe as it had to shift as it was moving through the worlds there. And this has ignited a firestorm across the Vergences of old recriminations, of tensions, of powers being held in check, which has meant, while the four of you can see that there is a larger pattern, that most of the people that you know on the ground right now are focused on the immediate aftermath. Who's going to take over? Who's responsible? Do we go and attack? Who do we, do we go and strike back at the Agoros, or do we follow up on the serpent there? It is scattered throughout, and there's probably more to it, but that's the sort of the shape of the picture that you have gotten. And so we took up with the four of you having met to discuss these matters, to talk about them, and to like figure out what your next step is. Mechanically, we've got a couple of things. Right now, we're kind of in what we'll call free play, which is, interaction, NPC interaction, things like that. There are a couple of phase plays that we can go into. One of them would be if you decide a mission or an operation or something you want to do, we would go into that, figure out what that is, and kind of go to an engagement role like classic Blades in the Dark. But the other one is the scheming phase. The scheming phase is kind of our downtime phase, but it has some interesting things that you can do within it. And I'm going to talk briefly again about what those involve. A scheming phase gets you stress back, gets you forced stress, but then you can also get more stress back if you want. You can go and earn favor. Basically, tell me what you're doing to go and schmooze with a faction. And you can roll to gain favor with them. Once you have a favor with a faction, you can spend favor to as a scheming action to forge an alliance. Forging alliance isn't a roll. It's just something you do after you kind of do the RP for negotiation. How much favor does that cost? It is equal to the faction's quality plus scale. So if they're quality 3 and scale 2, that means you need 5 favor to make that. You can also do, just like in classic Forged in the Dark, you can do a long-term project. You say, I want to do this thing. We figure out what the role is. We set a clock and you roll to do some phases on it. And then the last thing is you can send your cohorts out to do things. That's the other thing you can do in the scheming phase. So those are what those are. You will also earn favor when you interact with a faction and do well by them. You'll earn favor that way as well. There are investigation actions. These are outside of downtime. These are kind of in the free play. They have a little bit of a mechanic for that. Essentially, we do position and effect after you've kind of described how are you going to go and figure this out? Who are you going to go to? This allows us to build up our picture of the world. Investigation actions are very much going to be, I want to find this out. Okay, where do you go to? Who do you talk to? Let's establish those things and figure out like how risky it is for you to do that and how much effect will it be, and then you roll and you get information. Before we go too much further, I want to say one more thing about Forged in the Dark, and I may have said this last time, but I want to re-emphasize this. Forged in the Dark has the idea of risk, controlled, risky, or super dangerous. I can't remember what the last one's called. And then it has effect, which is like limited, standard, great effect, and actually there's like a higher level of woohoo kind of effect, right? Whenever you go to do an action, if you don't negotiate and I don't say anything, the default is always risky standard. If you're fine with risky standard, then we don't have to go through that kind of negotiation process. We just know that that's what it's going to be. We always assume that if you're rolling, it's probably going to be that there's a little bit of risk, something might happen bad, because that's what's interesting. Does that sound okay? Everybody have a sense of that? So let's maybe start with coming around to each of you, and let's have you do like maybe try to figure something out. Like what do you want to know? What do you want to investigate? What do you want to figure out? What do you want to hear? Who do you want to go to get more information on what's going on?
Can I ask a game question
Yeah,
before we get into that?
absolutely.
And it's sadly extremely me-centric. We have my companion is listed as an agent.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean it is a cohort to get the advantage we have from the team, from our dark conspiracy.
That's a good goob. Let me look at that real quick.
And I don't know if it is purely because I went and looked at everybody else's playbooks that have companions. Mine's the only one that's listed as an agent that I saw, as compared to others that didn't have that distinction. And that just may be a factor of where it is in development.
Yeah, I think that if there are things that upgrade agents, then you can do that to yours. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So then that decides me what my second companion advantage will be. I think he's going to be venomous.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So let me start with you, Tyler. Like, what is it you want to find out right now? What is it you want to look to? And it can be general, it can be specific. And then let's talk about what would be your methods, your sources for doing that.
I suppose that deepest to my heart is wondering, did my father actually do this assassination or not? I mean, that has a lot of fallout for me. I worry somewhat about him as well. Is he being framed, or did he really do it?
So how do you think you go about getting that information kind of without maybe tipping your hand that you're looking into this, or maybe even alerting the people that are looking for your father?
Mm-hmm. I suppose it would be things like if I could find out the chatter that was going on coming from him would be one way, like, to see if there's the right kind of chatter coming out of his minions that would have said there's an assassination afoot.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might be looking into those who have kind of kept an eye and could have spread this rumor if it is a rumor. Those are the two approaches I could see.
Interesting. And which of those leans better into your abilities, do you think, here? Let's look and remind ourselves, because of course this is the one thing with Forts in the Dark, is the weird names for skills. Command is compel swift obedience. Persuade is persuasion, influence. Warp is reaching out with the power to sense or manipulate the umbra. And then let's come to prowess. Engage is contend physically against an opponent. Overpower is brute force. And traverse is moving with skill and finesse. And then for insight, engineer is make, modify, manipulate, dissemble, or sabotage things. Contrive is implement a clever strategy. And study is scrutinize details. Now, let me tell you the trick here. Warp is useful for a lot of things.
Really
it's
good at
useful
that.
for reaching through the umbra and seeing things, sensing things, following the trails of people, that kind of thing. So that might be the tactic that you want to use to find out these things.
I think so, because that is what I am best at.
All right, let's then, again, risky standard.
Mhm.
Let's have you roll. That's 3 dice. You could push yourself, take 2 stress and get another die. You could use favor from the faction, 2 of that to get yourself another die. You could also ask for a devil's bargain, but you've got 3 dice already, so you're in pretty good shape.
I'm in pretty good shape. I think I will push myself though.
Okay, mark 2 stress and
that-
roll 4d6. There's almost no chance.
evil roll. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, they stacked on top of each other,
I
didn't they?
sure did. I got a 6.
Okay. So a 6 is useful information with actionable details. So you will reach out. You know your father. You know him. What does it look like when you extend your senses through the umbra? Like, what do we see around you, or how is your vision? Tell me something about what that looks like with your particular interaction with the power of the serpent.
I think pulling on what the actual normal thing of the serpent, which is kind of the dark, shadowy bits that sort of roil off of us, if I remember correctly. But I think going with my eyes, I think that you see that closing of my membrane, so you could still sort of see my eyes through it, and we see the tendrils, those dark shadows sort of spread out from my eyes as I'm looking and concentrating.
I think you'll reach out, and the big question that you have is, was this your father? I think you can reach out and into that place, into the maelstrom. We see your vision kind of go out through the drawing on those tendrils. And I think you can tell, and you could never prove this to anyone. I mean, this is purely your impression, is that it wasn't him, but there was something of him there, which worries you. I think you draw back and you'll follow the tendrils. You're like, okay, where is my father? And I think you will find that the sense that you can get of your father trails off, like when you really look hard, a couple of weeks ago. And you will see a world that it takes you a bit to kind of fluctuate through, but you know it. It's called Savartian. Savartian is a crossroads place, a place where vessels and magic users and things move back and forth. It's fairly close to the caverns of Agoros. And it's actually one of your father's favorite places because there's a lot of information that goes in and out of there, and a lot of movers and shakers. And his trail, like what you can detect, kind of leaves the ether, leaves the Umbra about 2 weeks ago there, not in a death way. Like when people of your bloodline die, you know it. There's a trace that's left behind. There is an energy that explodes from your death. So you're certain that he is alive, unless someone has done some amazing scry guarding on him, but that something has obscured, hidden his trail. And Savartian is the last place that he was.
The last time he was there, how does that compare to when the assassination happened?
That would have been perhaps a week before the whole sort of explosion of things.
Cool.
Does that sound like good info?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then let us come to negative. Negative, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to look into?
I think he's gonna be keeping up with his newest hobby, which is anybody that his brother, Dread Red Giles, shows an interest in, he goes and seduces them.
Okay.
And since his brother is most likely a power grasping individual himself or whatever, I think these individuals that he seduces will generally might have information that might be useful. I mean, his mother's also an information broker, so he's got some good tie-ins there. So I guess fine pillow talk.
Yeah. That feels like persuade. Does that seem right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see that. Let's tell me, do you want to push yourself? Do you want to get faction help? Accept the devil's bargain? What do you think?
What would a devil's bargain look like for this
Well, a
particular
devil's
move?
bargain here would be, yes, you'll be able to seduce and get information, but word is going to get back to Dread Red Guile that
Oh.
is what you're doing.
Oh, good. Yes. Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, so we'll give you an extra die
So that'll
for
give me
that, and you can
2.
still push yourself even if you take a devil's bargain if you want to spend the stress.
I'm gonna keep on to my stress for the moment.
Sure.
Now, the roller kind of looks different than it usually did.
Oh, okay. So what you'll do is choose a color, and that's on the far right-hand side.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see that. Okay.
And then you'll add some dice after you've chosen a new color, and that should give you some dice that you can pull into a space.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. I'll go green. And 2.
They may pop down at the bottom. You may have to move them off to the side.
Okay. And so they like roll by themselves, or?
So what you
Is
do
that-
is once you've got them on the table,
Mhm.
select them.
Okay.
And once you've got them selected, then there's a little like re-roll
Okay. Okay.
box right
Here we
down at the
go.
bottom. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm the green ones.
Mhm.
2 dice, and nope. Fail.
Fail. So I think that when you go to find out this information, the only thing you get back from this lover, and what kind of lovers does he take?
Anybody I think that he can use to gain power in any way. So they probably are movers and shakers amongst the serpent, and maybe even some of the other vergences.
So I think what they give you is sketchy.
Mhm.
It is the they will say, well, I would tell you more, but Dredd has been occupied with other matters these last few months. He travels by himself off into the deep Umbra. He says he's on expeditions, but I've heard nothing of what those are. But I don't know anything else besides that, except that he has been on these repeatedly.
That is odd behavior for my brother. I wonder if he's on assignment from my father. Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't put that past him. Sans Echo. You are muted.
Indeed, I am.
So, Sans Echo, what do you want to do?
So I know that I lost some of my people. And that's the thing is that essentially the followers of the orb do strip themselves all over. In some ways, they feel that what they know goes back to the orb itself. So I think that I probably will travel among them and essentially find out what they know about those that were attacked and like any sense of where they are now. I have a good relationship with them. I certainly could persuade them to tell me everything they know, but
Does that
I
feel like
don't-
the right approach for that?
I think to start here, yeah, because
Okay.
some of this, maybe because I need to know if they were like in the middle of something or something that would have drawn attention to them. So, yeah,
So you've got three dots in persuade.
okay. We'll roll with those. Let's see here, I'll do the first 3 dice in the row.
Mhm.
There, that's that blue. We'll see what happens. Oh, I got a 4 anyway.
the ones that were attacked were killed, and then again, it kind of confirms what you thought about sort of the specific attacks. And in fact, when you kind of are starting to get reports back from elsewhere in other places where your order has people, that there were other attacks there or people caught in the crossfire. But the one thing that will come up is that there is a member of your order who has some gift of travel, and is one of those people who can move from place to place, not with any kind of the power or consistency that you or your cohorts do, but can. And there is a person. Let me get my little, what do I do with my sheet with my names? Second. I apologize.
Oh, and to be clear, the Order of the Orb belongs to my father. They're
Right.
just a set of people that I
But-
have
But you have
relatively
strong,
I have
deep
deep and
contact.
respectful ties with. Yes.
There is a person who has a lot of pull and influence within the order named Senajit Eben.
Okay.
And he was amongst those who died, or at least went missing during these attacks. But the thing that you will hear back from people is that he seems to have been organizing something in and amongst the order, some kind of magic or some kind of ritual that he and a number of the others have been doing. It's unclear exactly what they were looking into, except that it seems to have been associated with the great road that runs down through the Umbra, that way, that passage that is cut and maintained, right?
Mhm.
And the thing that makes you like put sort of pointers at this is that like nearly all the people that are associated with Senajit Eben were killed in this attack. Just, across the different locales and across the different research places and temples.
Okay. That gives us a hint.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's come to Bash the Aeronaut.
Hello.
Hello. Bash, what do you want to do?
So I think I'm also concerned about the assassination.
Yes.
But
A little close to home for you.
yeah, and I think in specific, if my mother, because we talked last time about her sending these like messengers out to try and find me and order me back home before I got too far away from the maelstrom.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's desperate enough to try and send people after me, then I know she's got Morgaine, my sister, caught up in whatever is going on. So I want to try and find out what the Storm Knights are doing. I want to try and figure out if she's putting Morgaine in danger right now. Like, I want to know how concerned I should be, basically.
All right. I think that's not even necessarily a role. Let me give you some basic information. I think you can follow and decide how you want to like investigate that. I think you have enough pull and things like that. You will know that one of what do you call the like groups of storm knights? What do you want to call them? Like thunderheads, or like what are they organized into?
I I like Thunderhead. That's good.
Okay, you'll find that like essentially a couple of the thunderheads, those organizations of the storm knights, have been recalled to be outfitted clearly for war.
Hmm.
And your sister is amongst those that have been recalled to a command position. That there kind of is turbulence, no pun intended, amongst the maelstrom. But that's definitely, and you're not sure exactly war against who, war for what. So that's what you've got. So how do you want to like dig deeper?
I'm probably then gonna have to dig deeper into Electo's plans and position, my mother's,
Okay.
because yeah, it's that thing of like not just being gathered for, you know, shows of strength or redeployment, but that being re-geared for war. I want to know more about who she thinks she's going to war with, or who she blames, where she's going with this.
Absolutely. What do you think that is to get that information? Is that studying? Is that command to order people to get you information? What do you know, or work through the ranks? What do you think?
I think. Let me describe how he's doing it. We can figure out what that is.
Sure.
Because I think what he's doing is basically trailing one of these couriers that she's sent out to find him until they give up and start heading back to report in. And I want to follow them until they get somewhere official that I can sort of sneak in, use my knowledge of Maelstrom. I can't think of the word, but like sneak in, pretend like I belong there, get information from their systems, sort of thing.
That feels like traverse.
Okay. Let's see. I'm decent at that. What would a devil's bargain on this look like?
Oh, I think the devil's bargain is very clearly that your mother will be alerted that you were in the maelstrom looking into this.
Hey, as long as it's past tense.
Sure. So that's an extra die. You happy with
said
that?
I could push myself on top
You
of
could
that?
you could push yourself on top of that.
I think I'm going to, because trying to sneak in and figure out the inner workings of
Yeah, this is pretty risky.
yeah. All right, so that's 4 dice.
Yeah, let's see him.
Gonna roll them. I got a 6.
Got a 6. So I think you will be able to get in and follow one of these riders back. You leave your ship back, and then you pass through, bringing the storm around you, following their trail through the Umbra, back into the maelstrom, and back into your mother's fortress at Natresk, there into the deep heart of the Lion. And I think it will eventually slip through and find your way into a planning room. And you can see that it looks like there's some coordination amongst the other military leaders and so on to gather thunderheads to strike back at the serpent.
Wow. So just full on war against the serpent.
That a demonstration needs to be made. This is the death of the leader of the Maelstrom. This cannot go unanswered. But your mother is very clearly keeping one of the thunderheads back with your sister in charge. And is very clearly preparing for war amongst the cities of the Maelstrom. You're not
So
sure
we're
whether
getting
it's
sort of back guarding the keep right now.
Yeah, not entirely certain whether this is her instigating a civil war or her simply preparing for a civil war. The vanishing of one of the cities, the vanishing of Etherine, I think is the one we described as being gone, completely changes the balance of power within the Maelstrom. That city's vanishing, that influence means that anything can happen now. Especially with the sovereign gone. That seem
Well,
like fair info?
Yeah, that's all very dangerous. And
What is it you suppose you do that like leaves a sign to your mother that you have been here and seen this?
I think they've got like the big war map sort of out. I can't even imagine what that looks like for cross-umbral considerations, but they have their 4D chess out there.
Okay.
But there's the sort of models that are indicating the strike force that they're putting together to send out after whatever they're going to go do on the serpent. And whatever the lead figurine is, he knocks it over and like stabs it into the board with a house dagger.
Nice. I think that camera will linger on that as you slip out through these hallways that you know well. Let's take our first break here. Let's take 10 and then we'll continue on, okay? Harry, you're muted.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to open table. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
No, you 100%. You go ahead and do that. We'll
catch you
see you
guys
next
next
week,
week.
okay?
Yeah,
All
feel
right.
better.
Yeah, thanks.
All
Bye.
So just a quick note about how we just did investigation. The rules have a couple modes for this. What we really did there, rather than being worried about position or effect, but we'll allow for the devil's bargain and things, is we did a fortune roll. That's an alternate because I figured these are kind of like us flashing back to before you got to to meet together. This is information that you had gathered before you came together with your cohort. So let's imagine that information is in your hands, and I'm curious about what you are. Is anyone withholding anything? I think often that's a better question than what are you sharing? Is anyone withholding anything? Smiles?
I mean, I'm a little tempted to hold back that there was part of him in the sensing of it, but
Yeah.
I think I'm more interested in getting honest information, and I'm a little worried that the something there may not be because he wanted to do it as much as something's happened and they're using it. So I will not be holding anything back.
Okay. What about you, Sanzako?
I don't think she has any sense of there being a use in incomplete information. In fact, that's probably one of the things that's particularly draining about her, is that she is like, you have to listen to me very much when you know her. So she will, grab you by the collar and make you sit down, and she will give you all the information and then watch you while you hear it. See how you react.
And Bash?
I think Bash is holding back a little bit. I think he's not making it clear that like his mother seems to be instrumental in this push towards war. And he's not mentioning any of the weird like internal strife Civil War vibes that he got.
Okay.
His justification is that he didn't find any solid proof of anything there, and that's internal family stuff.
Right. You mean rationalization, not justification, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Potato.
so essentially, the outcome has been stoking of hostilities between the Serpent and the Maelstrom forces, a planned ritual involving the Great Road through the Umbra has been stopped or delayed, and essentially Curling Tourmaline has been implicated as the assassin. So that's weird. And
Tried and found guilty in the Maelstrom.
ah,
They're ready to potentially start a war over him.
okay. So, and okay.
And of course, we also know that someone's brother is missing.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Iridescent Joy
Yes.
didn't show up to our meetup.
Well, Iridescent Joy didn't show up, and Dread Red Guile is missing as
Also
well.
missing, yeah.
Or not?
No, he's out. He's not
He's
missing.
been going out
Yes.
alone,
Yeah.
doing things, but he's not missing per se. Okay.
Correct.
So, and then, yeah, I think at the top we need to put in all caps. Iridescent Joy is missing. That's really the reason that we have to get this worked out. Okay. That's what I'm going to call this session. So you didn't hear anything about Iridescent Joy then, huh? She looks at smiles.
I have not heard from him in some time.
All right. I just feel like, wonder if you would tie some of this together. Where is he?
Well, if father's missing, then it's possible that he's looking for him.
Okay, so that sounds like you're suggesting we go to Shavashian.
We could pick up information there. I know people there. I've partied there a lot. There's plenty of folks I could start listening to and maybe pick something out. If my brother's been through, then we'll know. I could figure that out. I could find that out. And
I don't have any problem with it. I'm just saying, you think that's a good thing? Do you think it would help us get enough information to stop the hostilities between the Serpent and your mother's forces?
Whatever we do, we're going to have to do it fast.
That's what I mean.
Maelstrom, I don't know what their plan is, but they're planning actively to do it. And once something like that happens, I don't know how much anybody could walk this back.
who is in command in the Maelstrom now?
That's
It's very
unclear.
unclear. The king of the sovereign of all skies just got assassinated.
Right.
And there's a whole faction missing with that city gone. So it's all very much in struggle right now.
Certainly, Anastasia has room to operate. the admiral of the Sky Fleet, the captain of the Sky Traders. I mean, there's lots of people who could easily begin to move for power here.
Yeah,
It,
lots of
Mom's
folks with
planning a
easy
minor
pickings.
war.
it worries me because mom is not always very stable, and there's no telling what she'll do.
Well, then let's see if we can find your father or Iridescence Joy
I agree.
and get a message to your mother as soon as we know more about what's going on, just so she doesn't waste her energy on that.
What
I agree. Yeah. Sorry,
would
Patrick.
you do, Smiles, if we found your father and he is guilty?
It's hard for me to say. I can't believe that he would do something like this uh, uh, on his own. And if the serpent is moving to start a war, well, I mean, he would be doing his duty. I would just want to stop it.
Is there any indication you've gotten that the serpent is attempting to start war?
No, I really no. And like I say, something in me just says father did not do this. At least not of his free will.
All right, then.
Honestly, and I'm sorry, but if this is the route that we're following in our limited time, then I hope he did. Bringing back an innocent man won't stop anything.
And she sort of stops and says, all right, it wouldn't. Why wouldn't it?
I assume the Maelstrom would still assume that the serpent was at fault.
Why?
They would.
If they knew it wasn't who they think it is.
Because it's the easiest solution, and convincing people of innocence is a lot harder than guilt.
Then we need to present them with someone who's guilty.
That would help.
All right.
Yes.
Then we have to start with the person who isn't or who was involved. She sort of stops and looks at Bash.
We don't have any better leads than Tourmaline. I'm not arguing on that with that.
Okay, then let's start from there, and you keep your eyes open for the guilty, you keep your eyes open for the innocent, and I will keep my eyes on who's got their eyes on you too. Okay? And we know it has something to do with the big road.
All right, then.
Great road. I always call it big road. I always have since I was a kid. I don't know what that is. All right.
Oh.
Sebastian is.
Yeah, the crew's been getting the repose ready for some long-term travel. On
So
board.
are you heading to Servatian then? Okay. Tell me what that looks like when you move your vessel Bash through these different realms. So do you make for the Great Road? The easiest
No.
travel? You want to stay off that?
Especially with my mom still looking for me. Like I wanna stay out of major lanes. So this is cross country, umbral travel. Ship. Screw it. I'm already making concessions by not going the easy routes. The ship will look like the ship.
All right.
It's my ship, and I like it that way. But as we start to, it lifts off gently from the ground, and as the wind starts to catch in the sail, like every length that we go forward, the wind gets stronger and stronger. It's bending trees around us as we go, and as Bash is up at the helm, steering, there's an electric green light that starts filling his eyes and sparking off of the tips of his fingers.
And travel again is about you viewing the world around you and changing it slightly, imposing your will to change those details, to move along and find the next detail and change the world. And, as you do, the ground changes color, the sky shifts, day, night, all of those like shifting changes as you move along.
And I think the way that he's been taught from the Maelstrom is that the bulk of the travel is done from storm to storm. Like the
Nice.
storm is always there, but the world that we can vaguely see through the haze is what's changing. And of course, if the final destination doesn't have a storm going on, we have to move out of it towards the end. But most of the travel is done through the storm.
So I think this is going to be risky. We've got some danger here. We have some things on possible dangers. But I think given your ship, I think we'll make the effect great.
Ooh,
Sound good?
I like it.
Okay. And I think this is traverse. Now, unlike other Blades in the Dark, unfortunately, I will suggest to you what ability might be, but you are always welcome to go, no, Lowell, I do not agree with you.
As traverse and warp are the same for me, and we're going to a known destination, I'm very happy with traverse.
Okay, let's have you roll.
Anybody? What do those bond things do again? Is that a free help?
So what it is when we do a scheming phase, you get to reset them, but you have essentially 2 free assists that you can say, oh, I'll have Sans Echo help me. I'll mark my assist and I'll get an extra die.
Oh, so I mark it on my end rather than marking it when I help her?
I believe that you mark it when you use it to give yourself a die. Okay. Let me see here. Let me check that. This is a really good question. Let me check.
It's like I don't have to give you help. You just have that already. I have supported you in some way. Yeah.
So essentially it's like Sans Echo is giving you the die, but they don't have to pay the stress, but you mark that opportunity has been used up until this next scheming phase.
Nice. Well, I have bonds with both of you. Who has a good idea for helping out?
So which one do you want to mark?
Let's see here. Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good at what do you say? Persuading. So I think that I am literally, when she does her full math, she can persuade the storm to go even faster.
Okay. So nice. That'll be 3 dice.
Cool. I'll do these top 3 here.
Nice.
That rolled the same thing, didn't it?
Well, the 5 changed to a 2.
Okay, well that's all. As long as one of them changed. That I was at first, it looked like that. So you get a 6.
Then yeah, 6.
So full effect. So we will see you traversing through those storms, passing through them, evading pursuit. We might see the shadows of some maelstrom ships, of some serpent beast riders out there on the edges of it, but you will find your way there, and you'll find yourself at Servatian. Tell me, Tyler, tell me something about Servatian. We know it's a crossroads. We know it's on the way. It's on the Great Way. We know it's close to the Caverns of Gorse, which is kind of a more medieval, noble, probably probably tech works okay here, but it's maybe like the outer ranges of what could work. Computers probably don't work here, but like basic machines and gunpowder and stuff. Tell me something about this place.
I think that, because it has this influx of lots of different people coming in there to trade and things, it's set up in these sort of cantons, so that there's like little neighborhoods of all, these different groups that kind of, if you want to go to a place that has the blah blah of this place, there's that sort of setup for it.
Excellent. Tell me another thing about this place, Sans Echo.
The whole reason that it has become a crossroads is because it has a library of maps, and they pay exquisitely well for more maps there or adding to maps and things like that. So even though these are places that the technology is not able to get to, the maps are so venerated that it is a worthy place to go if you are looking for something that is not quite well described, but you have a sense of its general location, that you might find some clues here. And then
Excellent.
there's a lot of the information people that hang around that.
And Bash, what's one last detail about this place? This cantons, crossroads, maps, as hyped.
Connecting it with the caverns, I like a sort of stony theme. So I think the buildings of the city are built from stone that's quarried nearby, and it's this like naturally indigo blue stone. And so the cantons are differentiated by these different like shadings of blue stone, and it's that neat sort of stone that can be, it's like sort of like granite, like it can be rough, but it can be polished to this like very gem-like shine.
And everything seems to be like they've got some method of hiding the joins on the stone. So even though these are constructed, even though these are quarried and brought here together, everything looks like one piece, like it was poured or carved there. They really focus in on that. And because of its connection to the maelstrom, there is sort of a perpetual like storm at the edge of it that those traders use when they come through here. And I think when you arrive, let me ask you a question, Bash. Once you arrive, do you conceal the identity of your vessel, or are you very clearly going in so that everybody goes, "Ooh, look"?
I think we'll go low key.
Okay.
I can't bring myself to turn the ship blue. It's the Emerald Repose, and it's gonna stay green.
Okay.
But I will engage the circuits that move it more towards that sort of medieval paradigm.
Excellent. So when you get all of you boots on the ground, moving here, your cohort and your agent are present as well. You can call on them, or they can be elsewhere, depending on how you want to do that. Your crew will move to kind of cover things over and look like standard tradesmen, Bash, so that people don't get suspicious. You will definitely, when you move out and amongst the streets here, people are tense. More because you've got a lot of people, tradesmen and things like that owe fealty to one of the Vergences or another. Some of them bear the heraldry of that. There are more people with blades at their hips a little more exposed. A revolver cocked on the other hip. People are going in small groups of 2 or 3, and there's just a lot of tension around here right now. A lot of people were worried that there's going to be some kind of outbreak, and they're worried because, of course, there were attacks at the caverns. You don't know the full dimensions of what happened there, but certainly people are nervous here about what went on. So let's kind of do like a once around for what you want to do, kind of exploration. We can do more investigations. If at any point you want to stop and go, let's do some scheming stuff, like maybe doing a project or sending our crew out, or like going in and interacting with a faction or something like that, we can move to that phase. Sound good? Then let's come back to Smiles.
All right. I think yes.
Where is your animal?
He's with me.
With me. So there are probably a number of beast riders. How distinctive do you think your animal is? When people see that, if they know of you, do you think they go, "Oh, that smiles like Dagger"? His
Like
father is the assassin.
I think that there is an element of, I think I've been here a lot.
Right.
So I think people may recognize me. It is possible that while they're thinking, he is the son of his father, they're also thinking that I'm kind of, again, I come here to party and to drink, and every indication is I'm a bit of a wastrel. So, but yeah, I think people would know me.
What does your network look like here?
I think that there is this is a place that I come to fairly often. So I think it is mostly traders, and there's people in each little canton, bars, and people that I'll buy things from. Just someone there that I could always come into, get a little information. They know I'll slip a coin here and there, but in some cases they're even personal relationships. I'll do you a favor, you do me a favor.
So maybe we want to have you do information gathering.
Yep, that's what I was figuring.
Risky, great effect because of your network.
Because of my network. I think this is probably persuade.
Yeah, persuade or contrive. Either one would seem good to me.
Yeah.
And do you want to use an assist? Do you want to?
I may be using an assist.
Push yourself?
I've already done that once, so my stress is already up there.
Oh, that much?
Not that much. Soon we'll scheme and I can drop it again.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to what the hell? I am gonna stress myself.
Okay.
And
that's 2 dice.
That's 2 dice. I think that's where I'm gonna have to stop. I only have one person I can call for assistance. Might not be your strong point, Patrick. Exactly, and I may need you further along in this adventure.
Then let's have you roll.
All right. So 2 dice. Let's pull. I'm gonna roll the top 2. Come on, baby. That's a 5.
A 5.
Could be worse.
So I think you're going to get information, but I think that there's a consequence here, a very minor one, which is that word is going to get out sort of a little more publicly than you would like, that you are present here, Smiles. Now, you can resist that consequence if you wish.
Oh, that's right. This game has resistances,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
And it looks like to me, I think will would be the logical thing to resist it if you want.
And I'd have 2 dice, right?
Yes.
Because I have
And
2 things in it.
yes, now let me talk about how resistances work here because it's a little bit
Yeah.
different if I recall correctly. Let me just check this. Bum, 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 bum. Judge the results. Ba, 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 ba. Effect. Sorry. I apologize for me. This. Okay.
No, you game.
So here's what it is you will spend 1 to 3 stress. It's unlike a regular thing where you have to roll. Basically, you roll your resistance dice and we take the highest one. If you roll a 6, then you're going to spend 1 stress. If you roll a 4 to 5, you're going to spend 2. If you roll anything else, you're going to spend 3.
Gotcha.
And if you have a defense against a particular kind of thing, you would get an extra die. And if you get a critical roll, you get a stress back.
And critical is 2 6s, right?
Double 6s, boxcars for you.
Right. Okay. No, I am not going to try and resist because I'm already very stressy and
Okay.
what the hell? I don't mind people knowing here.
Yeah, no.
Might
So
shake something out.
people tell you are going to tell you some things. And what is it you want to know? Like, what is it you want to find out?
I'm moving around these connections, and again, it has the element of looking like I'm shopping or drinking or whatever, but going and visiting to see basically when they last saw my dad or iridescence. I suppose I'm really asking too if has he been here, any information, and potentially anybody leave me a message.
You will hear people talk about, oh yeah, he was here a few weeks ago, was through here, and then headed on. At
Is
least
there iridescence?
no, this is your father.
Oh,
But then a few days after that, iridescence was here, and like you asking after him. And he was here for a couple of days before he left again.
Neither of them seemed frightened or worried of anything.
No, your brother seemed concerned. He seemed to have some reason for following, but your father never anything. No, I mean, a perfect poker face.
Yes.
But you'll talk to somebody who says, oh yeah, I saw your father a couple of days ago.
Did you?
Yes,
Here?
He was here. It was just briefly. He was with the machinist, Vasavi Stewart. I actually walked in on them as they were. I had the sense that I was not supposed to, but when I get when the guy says, when I get that thing, when I walk in on a meeting and I have the sense that perhaps I'm not welcome there, my instinct, my habit, grown after years of experience, is to walk out as quickly as possible so you are not murdered. And so I did. But I'm very certain that I saw him. He was cloaked, but I caught a little bit of his distinctive face. But yes, he was speaking with Vasavi Stewart.
I see. That is remarkable. And I'll ask for like where he saw him, or he saw him, and just to get it down in my map.
One of Vasavi's workshops.
Let's see. Perhaps I'll go and visit Vasavi. Thank you very much for your help. Remember, if there's anything you ever need.
Oh, yes. No, just glad to be part of your entourage, as it were.
Oh, you flatter me.
Another round? You're buying?
Oh, absolutely.
There we go. Sans Echo. What do you want to do here? If you are talking, I cannot hear you.
Yeah, remind me of the Weight Walkers. These are a bunch of serpent rider guys, right?
Yes, and they are a faction that you all have some connection to, some pals amongst.
But they're not like super powerful. Is our 3 favor enough to bring them in as essentially when we get to the scheming thing where we could do that, like sort of formalize them as
You'd probably need to
caliber?
get a little more favor with them, but you could get,
Okay.
but they're already allied with you.
Oh, they already are. So they're
Yeah,
allies
they're
per
allies
se.
to you. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't
yeah.
know if they were just like factions who were cool
Yeah.
with us, but they're actual allies. Okay,
Yeah,
cool,
they're
cool.
fully allied to you.
Okay, so all
So
right.
if you track them down, if one of their representatives here, they will help you out.
Yeah, well, I probably will do that. But let's see here. In some ways, this is sort of very up to, I'm suppose what I'm doing is waiting on Smiles like daggers. And as soon as he comes out, I'm like, so where next? Like right there by the door, And so.
And I would tell you we have a machinist to see, I think.
All right, then that's where we go.
Let me go then to Bash before I come to that. Then I'll give him a chance to see what he is investigating, looking into here. You can also say, I just want to see where this goes.
Yeah, I haven't managed to think of anything particularly compelling, so I'm good with following the leads that we have.
You 3 will head through the town. It's beautiful, blue, especially once it sort of the sun starts to set and the light hits at that slightly different angle and everything becomes shadows and azure as you're moving through here. Torchlight starts to reflect off of things, lanterns, all kinds of colors of stuff. You will find your way to what appears to be a machinist shop. It is, what you can tell, this is one of several that Vasavi has in the cantons. But it looks to you like it has been closed up for the night in that way that says to you that something's going on. You know what I mean? How do you want to proceed?
So, what do you think? You are muted, my dear Start.
I think she sort of stops and she looks at the door and I think she goes, how about if you knock on this door? Okay.
All right.
And essentially, you see, she kind of puts her hand on the house, like she's waiting to sense things. And essentially, I guess I'm going to let Tyler flush them out to a different door or a sort of like window where they might look out or something, so that she can be there and kind of go, we need to talk, is essentially what she's going.
How do you want to, Bash?
Do you want to stay with me or do you want to be floating about?
I could be floating about. I he takes a few minutes to channel some of that green lightning into his shoes. Let me go take a look from above.
So let's have you roll study, Bash. Risky, standard.
And since Smiles is here, I think I'm also going to use him as a focal point and distraction for anybody that might be looking out. So
Okay.
I'm gonna mark an assistance from Smiles. It's 2. What would a devil's bargain be on
Well, this is an information gathering thing. So I think a devil's bargain is that you are going to be seen by people that you do not wish to be seen by.
this? No, I'll push myself.
Okay.
Yeah, wow, that's a 6.
That is a 6. So I think you will rise up above this machinist shop, and you've been told that there are that Vasari has several shops. This is like the biggest one, and I think that there is a bit where you're very good at like seeing things in the distance and plotting like directions and stuff. Like that's what you do as a navigator, as a shipsman. And I think you take a moment as you rise up here and you kind of look and you realize that the machinist shops, like it isn't haphazard, their positioning. Like this shop here is the center of a hexagon of shops, of facilities. Like, and in fact, like you can see the neighborhoods that these other machinist shops that Vasavi has, like you would guess probably not the best location for being a place of work, but clearly chosen for its geomantic possibilities. And it makes you very nervous. Like you can feel that there's a pattern there.
Yeah, he pulls out like a small pad of paper and a pencil and starts like sketching out the pattern and some of the streets that he sees so he can know where they are. But then he gets distracted, like doing little math in the corners, like trying to figure out some of the geomantic possibilities.
Absolutely. Smiles, how are you going to flush these people out?
I think I am just knocking. I think that's probably the best thing. I'll, it'll be loud, but at the same time have that sort of, confident rap, I suppose, is what it's going to be.
Absolutely.
Expecting to be get entrance.
I think you'll smash. Sans echo. You're listening to try and watch and observe and so on. Does that feel like study or contrive? Or something else?
Let's see here. I'm not sure what the difference is. But they're the same number of dice.
Okay.
So let's
contrive is enacting a clever plan.
Okay.
Study
yeah.
is observing.
Let's do contrive then. So, okay. So contrive, I guess. Okay. And I guess I will use Bash because he's gone up. He's seen the pattern, and that sounds awesome. Okay. Let's see here. So that gives me 2 dice.
Yep.
And I'll push myself.
Okay. Yes. Push yourself.
Push myself. So that's 3 dice.
3 dice.
Yeah. It's me rolling though. So okay. So I'm gonna roll these 3 first blue ones. So that's a 4, 4, 422, and it's rolling to become 326. I'm good with the 6.
Kind of at that other entryway on this big shop,
Mhm.
and you hear in the distance Smiles big crashing fist on that, and maybe hear that vibration, and you wait, and in that quiet you will feel this like there's a feeling like every once in a while they're like a
There's a
typewriter,
cycle.
like a typewriter carriage return maybe, or something like that. Like you're feeling just this subtle vibration clearly from underneath this
machine.
building, like a machine, like down below.
Okay. Then all I have to do is find what is probably an entrance to it. I don't have to like have it be open or anything, because I'm going to use my ability to just kind of push myself to show up somewhere unexpected. So essentially it allows me to just kind of go there.
Follow the signal, follow the noise.
Exactly.
Okay, push yourself means mark 2 stress.
I know this could be bad. Let's do it.
You will follow it through. You're in a massive chamber.
Awesome.
And you will see there are a host of cloaked figures in here. And you can see that there is this machine that is running. And you can see that it is like a giant loom, but it's taking the threads and then weaving them into nothing. Like they weave together and kind of vanish out. And you realize that this machine is unraveling this world right now.
Excellent. Let's see here.
What do you do?
I think that what I will do is, well,
Now, by the way,
yes.
you are down in the bowels of this building underneath.
With a
your
bunch
friends,
of people there,
bunch of people,
right?
and your friends are up above. Yes.
Right. So I think the thing is now that I'm here, I'm going to find the entrance to it so that they can join me, if that makes any sense.
So I think that this is going to require you getting through some of these people.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yes.
let's do it.
I have 2 choices here. Right now, you can move to try and hide yourself first, to try and get yourself under cover before you do anything else. Or if you want to make sure that you like get to an entryway and get it like signaled open to others, I think that's a different role.
I want to get to an entryway and get the signal to others.
Okay. Then I think that's going to be traverse.
Okay.
Does that feel right?
It feels fine.
Unless you get some other way.
Nope.
Other thing. Okay. Then let's have you roll traverse.
Okay. Let's see. I get a +1D, a +1D to resist the consequence of confusion or deception. I don't know. That's not exactly where I'm at. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna roll thing. I guess not. What you get these kind of darkening colors of stress. Is anything happening there as I get closer?
No, it just means
it's just ominous, right?
That's how it's just ominous.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll 2 dice.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm moving that 2. I'll roll those 2. I'm hoping this goes well, but it might not. Oh, only the 1 rolled, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna roll that 2 next to it.
Okay.
It didn't help any. So I had a 5.
So I think as you do this and begin your sprint towards these doorways in this, again, dark blue cavern, all of this is that azure rock lit by these weird white lights in here, and this giant loom rolling, maybe a little bit of illumination from the spark of energy across these threads as they're pulled in. You go running, and I think that you will feel this hand kind of grab onto your shoulder and thread into your skin to hold you in place, and is essentially going to do a level of harm to you.
Okay. All right. So now, mind you, I can always detect whether like that someone's there. So
Oh, yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, this is just a consequence.
Okay, sure. So I'm gonna
You
take a
want to
level of harm.
resist or do you want to
No.
take the level of harm?
I'll take a level of harm.
Okay, mark that down.
So threaded.
So Smiles, how are you signaled that sans echo, like how are you signaled that there's an entryway? How does that happen? What do you think?
Ooh. You perhaps you cry out. I mean, you've just had this thing burrow into you, so maybe I hear you make a noise and look to where you had found your way in.
Yes, and whether others could hear it or not is uncertain, but certainly you could hear
So
it.
like, let's say like a cry through the umbra that kind of echoes
Ooh.
out to where you're at. You know, this building is secured, but clearly echo is just called from inside. Doors aren't open.
Oh, okay.
Bash, what do you want to do? Let's bring you down over to where Smiles is, so you two can figure out how you want to approach this.
Yeah, he'll come land over by Smiles, distractedly doing some math. There's something big going on under here.
I think Sans is in trouble. And for some reason, I think she's underneath the building.
There's gotta be a way in then.
Yes, she had to have found a way in. We should find it, either it too, or, and I'll kind of look at my cylinder foot and look at this machinist door. And because I don't really relish trying to kick the door in.
I think it'd be funny to watch you.
It would be very time consuming.
You could
depends on how fast they react.
Overpower with your native skills to get this door open. You could traverse to use, cleverness and lockpick and that kind of thing for it. You could use the Umbra. Tell me some way that you use that to get this door out of your way. What do you think?
I'll look, Bash. I mean, we could try and pick a lock here on one of these windows, though.
Yeah, let's try and pick something before kicking it down.
You and I have always been pretty good at that. Shall you take it or shall I? As I kind of motion towards a window at the corner.
I've got engineer, I've got traverse.
Yeah. So now this is the thing is when somebody's assisting someone, you can just mark one stress and give them an extra die.
It's true. You've already used your assist with me for freebie. I haven't used my assist for you for freebie. But yeah, I could mark a stress. So I mark a stress to give you a die.
All right.
So traverse then, you think, Bash?
I was looking for the action descriptions again. This doesn't seem to quite rise to the level of engineer. So yeah, I think traverse then.
You're gonna have a chance for engineer here soon.
Well, good. I'm excited. So, and Tyler, you're going to spend a stress to help me?
I did.
Cool. So, these three buddies. Oh. I got a 3.
Ooh,
You got a 3.
ooh.
So I think that you go to use your skills to unhitch this lock and on this window. And I think when you do that, there is a sound, and then that window blows outwards.
You shouldn't have
Oh.
done that way.
And you'll be caught in this explosion of energy and power, and you're going to take 2 levels of harm.
Ow.
Would you like to resist that to take that down a level?
I would.
Okay.
I think it'll be
and here's the other consequence here is that
Yeah,
there are some people inside who are going to like move to stop you and Smiles from progressing further. So you've got 2 consequences to deal with right now.
And in this game, can another person deal with one of those consequences as
Yes,
well?
they could resist that, or you could also fight them off. It's also that. It's kind of fun too.
I think it might be Will. Can I like let this explosion blow me through a layer or 2 of the Umbra to a place where there's not an explosion?
Yeah, you like throw the explosion away from you, effectively. Yeah, yeah. So Will.
So it's just you 2 buddies. But one of you's a 6.
So you just mark 1 stress as that explosion comes out, and we see you cast that energy away. Smiles. There are some folks in there. You have 2 choices. You could resist that consequence if you wanted to, which means that they're kind of disrupted. Or you could deal with them in a more mechanically definitive way.
Do they clearly look hostile?
Oh yeah.
Then I think that I'd rather fight them.
Okay. So this would be engaged then.
All right, and as I see them approaching with hostility, I think there's like a flick of my wrist, and kind of out of my sleeve pops a black baton length, kind of obsidian almost looking rod, which I will then hurl towards the one in the front, and as I hurl it, it expands into this enormous lance heading towards his chest.
So risky, great effect.
All righty. And my engage is a 1. I'm not going to push, but I am going to do my free assist off of Bash. This was why I saved it.
Yeah.
As perhaps Bash is, having been the one who's caught all of their attention there, maybe they're not quite looking towards me. So I'll get a moment here where I have a freer shot. So 2 dice. Let's see how it goes. Roll. Double 3s.
Double 3s. So these are troops. I think your effect is still great. You will throw that blood lance and kind of follow up. But I think like you will blow them apart, you will see them kind of come apart, like they unweave as you hit them, and kind of explode apart. But I think there is this moment when one of them, like as you're coming around, like swings their arm, and those yarn, that thread becomes like slivers, like monofilament, and they rake that across your arm for a level 2 harm.
Ooh, fudge. Okay.
Do you want to take that, or do you want to resist that?
Ooh. A level 2, does that fill up both my 1s, or does that go straight to a 2?
That goes straight to a 2. If you resist, it'll just become a 1.
Just become a 1. Ooh, maybe 2 dice to try and get. If I take 3 stress. Jeez Louise, I am getting low on stress. I think I'm gonna try and resist.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see if we can roll a little better. Got a 5, so that's 2, isn't
2
it?
stress, which is good. It means, it resists what would have been an ongoing harm situation, and you have dispatched these figures. And I think Bash smiles. You can see a bluish glow in the white light and the sound of back through this like workshop room. There is a passage that clearly goes down. You can make your way towards that. Sans Echo, there are a host of these woven around you and this great world-destroying loom. What do you want to do?
I want to destroy this loom because I can't. If I could do that, would probably be what I would go for.
Okay, how would you do that?
Well, the thing is that the loom itself is like kind of going back and forth.
Yep.
So maybe not destroy it, but stop it. That whole lever that's going back and forth, can I block it with essentially some material or something that's here? I would look for something that has some resonance and power of its own.
Okay, tell me what ability that would be.
I mean, I would love to say persuade, but I think we know that it isn't. So contrive or warp, I guess, in the sense of
Contrive is a cunning plan. So if you are trying to indirectly deal with this and not trying to sabotage or break it or modify it, I'm willing to, that seems reasonable to me.
Wait, if I'm trying to do what?
You're trying to like stop it. You're right now, you're not trying to break it, do the kind of what would be real engineer kind of thing.
Exactly. So
yeah, let's have you roll contrive.
Do
you want to push yourself? Do you want to mark an assist?
Can I get assist from, all I have is -7 and iridescence joy.
No, you have bash.
I have bash. Didn't I use bash before?
It's not checked off.
Well, then I'll use bash again. I don't remember if I used
So that's 2 dice.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll use dash. And essentially what it is it is more that Bash's ship has some physicality to it, that has a sort of set of levers that are sort of a backup calculation that go on in the machine. So she is familiar with these kind of mechanisms and stopping them. So I'll go with 2 dice. Should I push myself? Oh, then it means everything goes to harm after that.
I'll offer you a devil's bargain.
Oh yeah, what's the devil's bargain?
I'll give you an extra die if they get a good grab on you so that they can get a taste of your flesh for later.
No.
No, you don't want to make a copy of you?
I do not want a copy of me.
2 dice then.
All right.
3 if you push it.
Then I only have 1 stress left. What happens when you use up your stress in this game?
Well, then you can't do anything with it after that. Like it's not that you've got unconscious, it's that you can no longer do pushes or anything that resists stress or anything like that. Okay.
So I guess I will do that then, because this will give me a chance for my fellows to come and help me out. I guess I must not have that. If you have the black one.
Oh, it does that. It does that weird thing. No, you have it. It's just that it'll give you that alert. So click both of those.
All right. Sorry. I was like, what? Wait, did I have to buy some more? Okay, there we go. So I've got
3 dice.
Oh, well, I can't possibly fail, except we know that I can. All right. So here we go. I'm rolling these 3 right here. You can see them. They're 5, 4, 6.
Yep.
I got 2 5s.
2 5s.
Mhm.
So tell me what that looks like when you kind of bring this thing to a halt.
I think the thing is that with the loom, there's the sort of thing that is going up and down to like force the threads down. And then there's the part that's going back and forth to run the other thread through. And essentially she runs to the one side where the loom is like kind of coming down to tamp or untamp. It's probably pulling actually the threads up as it's going. And I think she's going to force that off, like so that it's not in the straight and narrow and in the way of the arm that's coming across and threading through, de-threading the other thread, and
Sure.
the two of them jam each other up.
Here is your consequence.
Okay.
You are going to, as you go to do that, I think you are going to get yanked into the loom.
Okay.
It's not going to harm you now, but unless something is done on the following round, it is going to deal harm to you.
Oh, good. I get to start this. Oh, this will be awesome. I can be a damsel in distress.
Or you can resist that.
Or I can resist that with my single point of stress that
You
I
would
have
literally
left.
just mark that last box of stress, and this would not happen.
Okay, I will do that. Then I have
Okay.
nothing that I can do thereafter. So
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay.
You have that devil's bargain it on up.
Exactly.
Bash.
You should roll just on the off chance you get a crit and actually get stress back.
Okay.
Good point. Thank you.
So that's a persuade, or I mean, it's a will, or no, it's a
Yep.
insight. Because
Yep.
that's what I was doing, was insight. So just 2.
2 dice.
Okay, so I'm going to do these 2 because I'm just going to keep rolling these horrible dice.
I can't tell you how many times when I was running Blades in the Dark that I would get them to the end and then they would freaking crit.
Not me. I got
Not
a 4 and
you.
a 5, so
Okay.
I would spend that point.
Spend that point. Bash. Come down, kind of look down into here. You'll see that giant world unweaving loom and these woven figures that are trying to catch San's echo. And you can see that she's already a little bit wounded.
See, I told you there was too much energy going in down here. You take the weird string figures. I'll try and figure out the umbral world blinking loom.
I smile enormously and absolutely.
Then yeah, Bash will run towards whatever looks most central to the mechanics operations going on here.
All right. And essentially heading in to try and break this thing.
Understand
Stop
what
it?
it is first. I'm not just gonna bash it to start off with, because with this much power going in, I'm afraid something very bad might happen.
That still feels like engineer.
Okay.
If that seems okay to you.
Yeah. What would a devil's bargain on that be?
I think a devil's bargain will be that as you kind of engage with this thing, that this is connected to something, some controller elsewhere, not present. And while they are not here, that they might get an echo of you and know that it is you who have done this thing.
I think that's fair.
Okay. Give yourself an extra die as you tell the Dark Lord that you are involved.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's up, man?
Why not? You don't actually pass out when you run out of stress, so I'm gonna push myself as well.
Okay.
You guys, do it. I got a couple of 5s.
Got a couple of 5s. So you can look at this thing. What is it that you see that you can use to like undo this?
I think it's down to the like small glowing gear works inside of it. It's something where he can use like his sort of spindly spider fingers to reach in, and he sees like a timing gear. Something that's keeping everything lined up correctly, that he can take just the right opportunity to throw it off so that none of the pieces will line up right and everything will start going haywire.
Absolutely. Take a level 1 harm.
Ow.
And as you kind of have to grab it and snatch at it, and there's that twist as you kind of do it. And I think as you touch that, like that keystone of this thing, I think you'll see a flash. You'll see a figure. You can't make out who they are, but you can see that they are standing in this red tower, and you can see their eyes look through the umbra and see you. And there's still a host, this troops here. Smiles.
Cool.
This crackle as Bash sort of like you can hear the sound of this machine kind of start to like shift and stop, but there's still these figures around. How do you want to deal with them, Smiles?
And one of them has Sans kind of wrapped up, or she got a little distance?
She's got some distance. Mostly the harm was the effect of that.
Excellent then. So I think I move forward and kind of, my lance has gone small again, and I'm going to push it down. And as I push it down, it expands up so that I get this big pole vault from it, and do this sort of flip in the air as I land right in the middle of them and call it back to me, sweeping in, swinging around.
Wow, this seems like a pretty awesome. You want to try and get everybody here, right?
Well, I want to try and do a good bit of damage, but mainly I want to use traverse instead of engage.
Okay, how about this? Traverse, desperate, super effect.
Ooh, wow.
Just means the consequences could be quite bad.
Could be horrible.
But you could deal with all of them with your sweet blood lance sweeping out as you acrobatics down on them. Your dragon crying in the behind to help out. What do you want to do?
Do you get XP for desperate still?
No.
Yes, I'm definitely going to do that. That is absolutely awesome.
Then roll traverse.
Okay, so that's 2 dice. Is it worth me pushing on this?
You can take care of all of them.
It's worth doing. So I have 3 dice.
3 dice.
Come on, baby. Ah, I got a 6.
You bring that down and it just crashes through them. And I think we see that lance come and just tear through their threads. And like has been described before, essentially when they come apart, they kind of vanish. And you can tell now, a piece of information you didn't have before is when they do come apart, it isn't that they're teleporting. They are definitely being destroyed. Like you feel their essence give way. And I think as you do that, as that sweeps across Sans, you kind of land back from having stopped this thing. Bash pulled the center out and Smiles clears the decks. And this thing just kind of stops. And those threads will kind of blaze up and kind of fade away, and the feeling that you had of this place destabilizing will level out.
I think I'm in the full hero pose with my weapon, And you could definitely see how I got my name as I am grinning maniacally at the destruction.
You love those sharp teeth of yours. Thank you, Bash. And she will carefully step down. She'll put her hand out so you can help her down. There. Then she says, ouch, when she lands.
Yeah, I mean, the hand he reaches up to you is covered in cuts from glass shards and burned from this weird blue energy.
Ooh,
But yeah,
what happened to you?
It's been a lot. There was a window that didn't explode, and then some machine was unmaking the world.
Yes, that was the one I was standing in. Okay, so now we know what's going on. And we have heard of this unweaving. So this is actually a machine thing. Can we figure out how they're doing it?
That's what
Just
we're
give
going to
me
take
some
up.
time with it.
That's what we're going to take up next time, so that you have a chance to do some rest, do some downtime, recover, get back into place, and follow up on these threads as you have essentially stopped this awful agency here. You are going to get, this is how this works, just to kind of go through. So you foiled an enemy attack. You discovered important information about the enemy. So that's a couple of dots, which means you will get a minor milestone trigger. I don't think you got a major milestone trigger yet.
Okay, so what does a minor one do for us?
So each session with at least one trigger grants a minor milestone. 3 minor milestones get you an advance. An advance equals 1 special ability or 2 upgrades. Because we're on a shorter timetable, I'm going to say that each session with at least 1 trigger grants 2 minor milestones. So you've got your 2/3 of the way towards an advance.
Where do we mark those on our sheets?
I'm going to put that in that empty box under minor milestone triggers. There's a space there.
Oh, okay.
And then if we manage to get a major milestone, that's an advance all by itself, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
So we'll stop there. We'll next time we'll take up with the sort of the scheming phase or recovery, if you want to do that instead, which means you get all your stress back. Of course, the enemy clocks go up, but it does do that. But it's an easy way. Does that sound okay with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to do a quick stars wishes, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Tyler, can I start with you?
Sure. Let's see. So starting with stars. I kind of like this game. Blades is depending on the type of game it is, it can be hit or miss in my opinion, but I like the way this one feels. I thought your unraveling, as it were, of the story, Lowell, was fantastic. It threw us right into, I liked the kind of figuring stuff out at the beginning. It seems that there is indeed a deep and ominous plot. But then you threw us here right at the beginning into literally a world-shattering problem. And that's cool. The stakes are very high. And I like that. So big star there. Sherry, I love your character already. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. I think the power set's cool, but I also it was interesting to see you go through how your character processes information, how they dig it up, where they take it to, the jumps of insight. That was really all very, very cool and neat. Bash, it was fun seeing the ship, hearing about it. I thought it sounded super cool. I I kind of liked our bit of a rapport. I thought that was really cool as well. And, it was all around interesting to see the group getting together and see kind of our dynamic there. I think that was fun.
One thing we do need to remember, and I just realized this now, is you all have void stones, so you can communicate with one another at a distance. So we've got to remember that so that Sans, you could have communicated with them. We've got to remember that. Wishes, Tyler?
Oh, wishes. Wow, I don't have super deep ones because it's going so very, very well. I suppose running into either Iridescence or Dad might be a wish. I'd love for us to find Iridescence.
Okay. Running into NPCs, Iridescence.
Because
I think
we
that's
all
fair.
love iridescence.
Yeah, got to get some of the named NPC characters on the table so we can interact with them. I think that's a fair wish. Sherry?
I had a lot of fun. I think people have a pretty good handle on their characters, and they're running them right through those alleys, and that's awesome to see. I really dig it. We all have very different senses of our superpowers, so I really do like it. Pretty cool. I guess I'm hoping that Harry will feel better next week, so we can play with him. He would have been perfect in this basement thing. So yeah, but all good stuff so far. I really like it. I like the world. I like building the world as we go. And I really want them to survive this whole dark conspiracy. So.
Any other wishes?
I don't know. I am looking forward to getting another we say special power. So yes. So can't wait till the end of next.
Okay. Patrick.
I am super into this game. I'm loving it so far. I really like what you've been doing with the world lol, or the worlds, I guess. But at the beginning, how you took like those dark conspiracy events that we came up with last time, and how you moved them forward and made the whole situation feel very on the edge, tense. Time is running out, it's about to explode, and this is just the start. So that was very effective. It felt very stressful, like the whole situation the world is in right now. And then just the whole thing with the loom that was like unweaving this world, and I don't know, presumably making something out of it, because that's what you do with a loom. Like, that's crazy and neat and weird. I love how strange that is. Sherry, I also thought it was really interesting to see into Echo's mind and methodology, like how meticulous and completionist she is, but also like, girl, I love a player who will go into the bad guy's hideout by themselves and wander through and touch the big giant glowing button just because it's giant and glowing. Like, that is, oh, you have my loyalty forever.
And you have my button pushing finger.
Please come chaos monkey with me. And Tyler, I really loved how hard you leaned into the blood lance specifically. Like, when you pulled it out and started using it as weapon, as utility, as mobility, like your descriptions of it were super cool. And you took what is a pretty neat move and turned it into just something badass. Wishes, we're on this sort of time crunch, but I definitely am intrigued by this loom, so I want to try and like take it with us next time, or at least a part of it with us, so I can keep studying it.
Oh, that seems fair. Yeah, no, I think that's good. Uh,
And in the theme of bringing in NPCs, I think with Bash feeling very confident that he has skillfully eluded his mother and sister would be a great time for someone like that god to come crashing in and ruin some of our stuff. Like, having avoided one threat, it would be great if another one just came in out of the wings. And I am really interested to find some of Noralam and see him sort of move into things.
all right. That sounds great. Thank you all so much. That was good fun. I like these kinds of stories. I like these kinds of worlds where it's weird and we travel lots of different places and we get to see weird shit and move on to the next piece of weirdness with a kind of a scheme that connects them. So I'm going to stop the recording